Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly TV news, or as often as we can. It's supposed to be weekly, but sometimes doesn't end up being.
It's kind of bi-weekly right now.
But this is where we talk about, renewals, cancellations, pilot orders, series that are in development, all those sorts of details. Premiere dates usually come up. And sort of discuss them, have some of the bigger stuff, and we have a lot of niche things and a lot of, I think the back chunk of the show, certainly for a portion of the year when it's in season, tends to be, let's make fun of all the network descriptions of all their shows because they're all very generic.
Yeah, that's been a bit weird this year. We haven't really had enough of that.
Well, the schedule, the TV cycle has changed a little bit this year for obvious world reasons.
It has. And I'm not happy about it because it means I don't get to drink every time CBS does something stupid.
Well, let's dive in and find out. I mean, this first story makes me want to take a drink. So the headlining story this week is that Showtime is reviving Dexter for a limited series. With
who was asking for this?
Michael C. Hall returning in the titular role. That is an excellent question because Dexter is an example of a show that started off, at least at the time it seemed solid. I'm actually curious if I went back and watched season 1 now, if I actually would be into it, or if it's maybe lost any of the charm that ever I had.
There wasn't as much else on at the time that in terms of the premium quality that you expect now, maybe. The bar was a bit lower.
But regardless, it started off fairly strong at the time. Seasons 2 and 3 were a bit mediocre, honestly. Season 4 kind of won a lot of people back because it had a great villain. Still, it had some of the side problems that were going to keep getting worse, but the main plot with the villain was really good. And then after that, it just... I have never seen a show just plummet into mediocrity and quality absurdity, much like I did with Dexter. In fact, for the sake of this story, I'm just going to say spoiler warning for all of Dexter, right? If you happen to care. So there's a moment that I had forgotten about. I saw mentioned on Twitter this week, right? And this is an insane moment in the show that it says a lot that I forgot about it because it came towards the end of season 7. I never watched season 8. Season 8 was the last season. There's a moment towards the end of season 7 where Deborah, out of nowhere in a therapy session, reaches the conclusion that she's in love with Dexter, who is her brother on the show. The irony in the real world of this is that the actors were actually in a relationship together and had just broken up. And now somehow their on-screen characters who are supposed to be siblings were all of a sudden hinted at being some sort of a romantic pairing.
That's kind of shitty on the writer's part.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about this.
I never watched Dexter for whatever reason. It kind of passed me by at the time. And then by the time the show was finished, it was universally decided, nah, it's shit by the end, don't bother.
Oh, everything I've seen about the ending, because I read what the last scene was, because out of curiosity, because
I know all the major beats because people, it's the internet, right?
I was never ever going to watch that last season, and the final scene is like I couldn't believe what I was reading when I heard what they'd done. It was
yeah, I get that, but and this is the thing. It was so universally, hated by the end, and pretty much everyone agrees. There was some good seasons at the start. Let's say in the middle. That is the consensus. But every single person I've ever spoke to about it has kind of gone, no, don't bother watching it. It's not worth the investment in those seasons for where it goes. And so who is going, I really wanted more Dexter?
I think you can watch season 1 as a limited series, and I know people who love season 4 because of John Lithgow, and John Lithgow is fantastic in it.
John Lithgow's fantastic in everything.
But I do think that the way season 1 ended, you could actually just take it as a 10-episode limited series and call it a day, and you'd be fine. I think the problem with season 4 is that it does have a really good ending, but the ending is a cliffhanger, and the ending does sort of encourage you to keep going. So
and this is all well and good, but there's so much other good TV out there that I do want to watch that I have not found the time for.
Sure.
Why would I bother with Dexter at this point? Like, even just one season of it.
The problem is it just repeated itself too much. But I mean, there's a whole conversation that could be had about why Dexter became an absolute crock of shit as it went on.
I'd probably have to watch more of it to have an informed conversation.
I didn't mean with you.
I know.
But they're a 10-episode season that's going to premiere tentatively sometime in fall 2021.
That's. I mean, I'm assuming they're starting filming soonish, because I don't know if you've got this on your news docket, but there's a handful of shows announcing kind of filming dates, or windows. The next season of The Mandalorian's planning to start filming sometime in November. Season 3 of The Boys is planning to start filming in January. Again, planning to start. These things permitting, but assuming they go ahead. And assuming that Dexter's kind of following on from the usual amount of time it takes, it's still a little on the tighter side, but not impossible to get out next fall.
Yeah. That is to say, I am not excited by it whatsoever. If anything, all this announcement did was make people on Twitter start making fun of how bad it got by the end, because they'd all been reminded. So
all it did is remind people that Dexter existed once upon a time.
So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some curiosity from people, and then people might check it out just because. Well, I wonder what it's like. Like all these years later,
it's
what are they doing?
What quite a lot of us did with Heroes. Like, just I wonder what they did when they came back, and then watched one episode and went, nope.
Yeah, I noped out hard of that. Yeah, me too.
And I defend Heroes more than you do by a long shot. And I watched one episode of that new season and went, nope.
Yeah, there's not a lot to defend in Heroes, quite frankly. That's another one where I don't even know if the stuff that I liked at the time at the start of the show would even work on me now.
I defend it from memory. I am scared to ever actually rewatch it. I don't want to tarnish that memory. It's like, when you've got like, there's a show you liked as a kid, and in your mind now that it's probably quite terrible, but you've got those nice nostalgic memories attached to it, and you just don't want to ever see a single second of it to ruin that. That's how I feel with Heroes.
Well, let's move on. Star Trek Discovery has been renewed for season 4. This is relatively fresh. This was, I think, just today. And they also announced that it's going to begin production, again, as with everything right now, tentatively, on November 2nd. So they are starting very soon on season 4, which is a good sign if you like the show, and maybe another good sign that maybe there'll actually be a shorter gap between 3 and 4, which isn't admittedly a very good bar to hit, because the season 3 to 4 gap, or 2 to 3 gap rather, was pretty big, so it wouldn't take a lot to actually beat that.
I do wonder how long they had season 3 ready, because we know CBS All Access's aim is to have Trek year round eventually. And they did, within a week or two ago, just finish the Lower Decks season. So I wonder if this was actually ready, a couple of months ago, but they had Lower Decks scheduled. So, it just, that comes after that.
Oh, we had the first trailer for season 3 like last year, so I suspect they probably did have it wrapped up for a while.
Yeah.
But alternatively, that would also mean the gap is shorter, because they held this one back a while.
That's true,
so,
yeah.
We'll see where these other shows that have got coming, but again, it shows confidence, and season 3, which the first review from us is up now, is off to an optimistic start.
It's cautiously positive for that first episode, and we'll see how things go. But I appreciate that. Okay, we're guaranteed a season 4 if this happens to end on a big cliffhanger. Knowing that this whole season now that we'll kind of have that in our heads, I'll be less concerned.
Next up, unfortunately, we have another example. This came last week, of a show which was renewed, being retroactively unrenewed and cancelled because of the world. And that is Glow on Netflix, which did get a 4th and final season announcement some time ago. And basically, because it's just in LA, which is not a great place to shoot right now, and because the show involves because of the wrestling involved, there's a lot of close touching and like proximity between all the actors. They're basically saying logistically it's just not worth all the precautions and the time it would take to do. I have heard the cast and stuff who are all disappointed by it. I mean, there's talks, of course, because I think season 3 did end at a cliffhanger, so there's talks of eventually they'll do Netflix will let them do like a movie or something to wrap it up.
pushing for a movie in the same way I think Sense8 got a movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is obviously a case where they wanted to give them the final season and then the world dictated it. So the fact, if all the cast want to do it, then it's probably a good chance that they'll give them something at some point when the world clears up a little bit.
It's a little bit shit, and we've spoken about a good handful of these stories now of things being cancelled or even unrenewed because of the world. And we've said every time, it's going to happen to more stuff. It's shit. What can you do? I think this is the first one that either of us, you specifically, actually cares about the show and has any attachment to it. So I guess it hurts a little bit more than some of the other ones we've talked about.
I actually haven't finished season 3 yet. I've got a few episodes of season 3 left, but I do love the show. I think it's a really good show. It's something that always felt like it was relatively contained in that, it was never going to go for like 10 seasons. It was always going to be like, a tight, what was going to be 4 10-episode seasons. So, I mean, if it ends up getting like a 2-hour movie in a couple of years, when everything's, died down, the world's a bit safer to go and shoot things, then I think that'll do nicely for this. I think it'll work as a wrap up. But it's a shame that there won't be another 10-episode season because it's a really poppy show.
I feel for the fans. I mean, obviously, I didn't care about this one again, like the other ones we've talked about. But as I've said, I feel for the fans. I feel for all the cast and crew who are out of jobs. Who thought they had guaranteed 10 episodes worth of pay coming in, and now they don't. I do feel that, and I hope that for their sake and your sake that you get at least a movie to get the closure of the cliffhanger. But yeah, it is what it is right now.
Yeah. Next up, this another cancellation. Although this doesn't seem like it is anything for the same reason, despite the fact that I presume they shot it in LA, or at least pretended they did. So LA's Finest, which is the Bad Boys, Bad Girls spin-off show on Spectrum, has been cancelled after its second season. The season 2 was actually pushed. It was meant to debut, and when was it? Wait, it was meant to come out on June 8th, but it was pushed to September because of the protests, because of the police brutality that was in the news, and now they've cancelled it just about a month after it all came out last month. So I suspect the reason for this has less to do with the pandemic and more to do with the content of the show, and maybe I don't know if it's successful as much as they want it to be or whatever. But
yeah, and we spoke about other police related shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine rewriting everything they had going forward. With this, it's a lot harder to be satirical, I guess. Like that show can be satirical about the real world.
I mean, that with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you could literally have them all lose their jobs and just go somewhere else, and the show would still function because we come for the characters. It doesn't matter that they're cops, really. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's workplace, not police place. Like is what matters.
There's episodes of that show where they're all on vacation together and in like a holiday home. You could literally just have them in a building, any building, doesn't matter what it is, and it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see what comes of that. But that's LA's Finest cancelled. We got a trailer which I did not watch. I don't want to watch it. But more importantly, a premiere date for The Expanse season 5, which is coming. I
did not watch this trailer either.
It's coming December 16th, which is about a year after the last one. That was last December as well, right?
I think that was maybe slightly earlier in December, but it was definitely December.
Yeah. Well, we knew they'd already shot this before season 4 even hit, so it's not a surprise.
Back to back, right?
Yeah. It's not a surprise that it's managed to actually hit that year window.
Yeah, they just had all the post-production, which admittedly is heavy on that show, but they had plenty of time to get to work on that.
Yes, but interestingly though, not
hybrid
all at once.
Release. Yeah,
not all at once. So new episodes will drop each Wednesday because it's a Wednesday that date for the record.
Oh, I didn't. You know what? I didn't look. I just assumed it was a Friday because Amazon.
Yeah, episodes will drop each Wednesday, working up to the finale, which will air February 3rd. So
I think they did. The people who wrote the book, whichever one of them runs the Twitter account, because obviously it's a pen name and it's 2 people. Both of them are involved in the show. Whichever one of them runs their Twitter account.
Get to the tidbit.
Yeah. It talked about it being the hybrid release. I think like The Boys was the Hulu model, where I think there's going to be 3 episodes on that first week.
Oh God, can we not call it hybrid release? That annoys me.
That's apparently that's the official terminology.
Hybrid to me would be like doing 3 episodes every week for like 4 weeks or something like that. That's hybrid. doing a few extra in the first week is not hybrid.
No, I get it. They're using hybrid in the sense that it's the first third or so of the season.
It's the equivalent of, it's not a third or so. Third or so is more than a third. It's less than a third.
Or so means either way.
No, it doesn't. Or so is a remainder. It's and more of the thing.
It is not. It's a roundabout.
No, around a third is around a third. Third or so is a third and some. No, it's not. Shut up. Look, the point here is that they're releasing presumably 3 in the first week and then weekly. I am thrilled at this. I love weekly releases for these types of shows. I loved it with The Boys. I will love it with The Expanse. Yeah. Thank you very much, Amazon. You're doing good moves.
I love it as well. And again, that Twitter account, whichever one of them it is, was saying someone was like, "Oh, I wish it was all binge because I like to just watch it all at once and not have to wait till it's all done to watch it." And they went, "Shut up! This is great. This means that it gets in the public consciousness longer. It means that it's all the stuff we say, how you form attachment, you form that habit, that routine. The fact that you don't work on, for their perspective, you don't work on a show for a year, however long it takes, and then you put it out all on one day and no one's talking about it 2 weeks later. It's better in every way. They
deserve the spotlight for longer. The conversation's better. More people watch our reviews and comment on the reviews typically when it's a weekly release, because there's actually people who want to talk about each episode after it comes out as opposed to just the dump. So this is good news. Moving on, this is not something either of us watch, but I know enough people like it to mention that Shameless, the final season, the 11th and final season, is going to debut on December 6th on Showtime. So I just thought I'd throw that in there for people who care.
I honestly thought that had ended already.
But another date we got here for Christmas Day, December 25th, Netflix are going to put out the Shonda Rhimes series Bridgerton, which is a thing.
I don't know what I don't remember this particular Shonda Rhimes series.
I mean, I don't remember any of them. It's a period piece still, built into the photos here. A romantic, scandalous and quick-witted series set at the peak age of Regency London high society. Bridgerton follows Daphne Bridgerton, the eldest daughter of a powerful family, presumably also called a Bridgerton, as she puts herself out into Regency London's high competitive marriage market. I'm not even going to finish the description. I hate the sound of everything about this.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you started telling me, there's a show on Christmas, I was like, oh man, do we have to work on Christmas Day again? Because we've done it in the past.
No, we don't. We definitely don't.
And then it was this. I was like, oh, we're good. We can take the day off.
I've taken the day off for Christmas this year. Thank you very much. I say that now. Just wait until Amazon says, oh, by the way, on Christmas Day, here's a new...
Wait. Hang on. Is Christmas Day a Wednesday?
I don't know.
It's not. It's a Friday. We're good.
Oh, good.
I mean, I might actually be working Christmas Day this year. Usually I have it off in my past job, but this job, who knows? So... Might not have it off, really, anyway.
Well, the little violin will be out for you. Next up,
better be.
Snowpiercer Season 2's got a premiere date, and they must have shot Season 2 right after Season 1, because they're ready, surprisingly.
Didn't we only just talk about this?
I feel like we just talked about the pilot as well. But January 25th is the premiere for Season 2. So, do you know what's so funny about this? Is that this show got delayed so much and coming to TV. Like, the pilot got redone, it got pushed back repeatedly. It took years to get Season 1. Season 2, after Season 1, is lightning fast.
When the hell was this? Because I feel like we just talked about it like a month ago. That was mid-May that first episode premiered. So it's
they must have been straight into production on Season 2, if not shot them as one big thing.
Probably as one big thing, given the state of the world in mid-May.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. They didn't finish shooting it when it released. They finished shooting it way before then.
I know.
So back to back could have meant, last November they went straight into filming for the next 3 months.
I meant more, they didn't wait until the season premiered to start filming.
Of course. Well, no one was suggesting that.
Just making it clear.
Look, this news is too long for these weird tangents. I'm putting the foot down every time you chirp up with one of these nonsense things.
What's next? We
got a trailer for The Stand, CBS All Access, which we already had a date for, but this is December as well. Just to remind everyone.
I want to say like the 12th, but that could be wrong. Pulling that out of my arse.
17th.
Yeah, pretty close.
I think you're just seeing the 12, which means December, and thinking, oh, it's the 12th. Must be the 12th.
I've had a couple of drinks. That might be true.
You think it's the 12th to the 17th month, whatever that may be.
It'll happen eventually.
Right, so yeah, we got a trailer. So I think the key thing I took from this trailer is that I basically realized, because I always knew the stand was about, okay, it's kind of post-apocalyptic, there's a virus or something. Watching this trailer made me realize I don't know a damn thing about what the stand's about.
I thought it was very notable because the premise of the stand is, from what I'm familiar with, is something like 98% of the population of the world is wiped out by a plague.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very notable that they avoided any such mention of that in this trailer. Because they do not want that in your mind right now.
No. They're hoping that you'll just be tricked into watching it, and then you'll see that part, and then you'll just stick with it because you're invested. It's fine.
I'm hoping that I'm in a better headspace by December, because that was kind of the reason I had to not watch the rest of Utopia.
This is post-apocalyptic. This is different. That's already happened.
Oh, that's much better.
I don't think this matters. Who cares? It's like
to you, Utopia didn't matter to you either. So
I don't think it could be any. So it would make you feel better if it was nuclear war that wiped out the population.
No, I will watch. I'm obviously going to watch the first one. My point is, it depends on how heavily, because obviously they're avoiding it in this trailer, and I get why. It depends on how heavily that is an impact on the show itself. If the whole show is about, hey, this plague's still around, be careful, then I'm going to have a problem. If it's like, oh no, this event happened. It happened a couple years ago, and we've moved on from that now. I'll be okay. It all depends on context, and I won't know until I see it.
All right. Well, anyway, it's 9 episodes, the limited series. Got Whoopi Goldberg in there, James Marsden popping up, old Teddy from Westworld.
Yes, Blandy McBlanderson.
Greg Kinnear, a bunch of other people. Amber Heard's in there.
Stylishly cut trailer, I thought. There was a nice, standard kind of slow cover.
I thought I saw Heather Graham in there, but I don't know if I was imagining it.
I don't remember, but I'm not confident enough to say I didn't see it.
I wonder if Amber Heard in this trailer just looks more like... Are
you sure you know who Amber Heard is this time?
I do know who Amber Heard is, yes. It's the one from All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, not Amber Heard, which I realised to most people that's not the example they'd go to, but that's where I first saw her, so
that's not the example. I'm like, what?
So, yeah. I mean, it looks...
It looks unique. There's a lot of very stylish shots in this trailer.
Yeah, there's a character in there played by what's his face, Big Skarsgård, who is who I think is from the Dark Tower series. This character, this is like a crossover character, if I remember right.
That sounds like something I'm familiar with. That's the villain, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I think he's the main villain of this, and he shows up in the Dark Tower series stuff. I don't know how much, but which Skarsgård is this again? I get them mixed up.
This is Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay.
And also I love how Whoopi Goldberg must feel great that she was cast as a 108-year-old. They thought, you know what? You look the part. We're going to cast you. Oh, why did I look the part? Oh, because you look 108 years old. I'll buy you as
it's a youthful 108.
And yes, I know they use makeup, and I'm cracking some jokes. People, let it go. I've not seen her in something for ages. I guess she just sort of stopped acting for a while and just sort of stuck to her talk show and stuff. She was in. What was she in? She was in something at some point.
That narrows it down.
No, there was something in the last 5 years where she was in something. I can't remember.
I don't remember what it was, but like you say, I think at this point she's probably known more for the talk show stuff than acting.
Probably. She'll always be sister act to me.
Yeah. And to a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what to make of the trailer. Honestly, if anything, I was just surprised with how much of it was about like a band of like a town of survivors who are going to stand up to some evil entity. I'm like, oh wait, I didn't know about that. This was what the stand was.
The absolute worst part of the trailer was when he says, "in these uncertain times," and I went, "Shut up! I'm sick of hearing that phrase."
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give it a try. December 17th, just in time for Christmas season. So look forward to that. I say just in time for people will have decorations and songs playing by the end of November.
End of November. That's ambitious.
So next up, we're on to some comedies and whatnot here in development. CBS has put into
Oh
development
God.
This Is Our Year, a single-camera comedy co-created by Chelsea Devantez and Barbie Adler. Comes from 20th Television. I was going to say 20th Century Fox Television. I don't even care, Disney. Screw you.
I felt the stumble there. 20th television.
Well,
I'll be honest, I had also forgotten they changed the name.
The movie studio's 20th Century Television, which sounds better. I think not even having anything between 20th and television just sounds weird. 20th Television. No. Put the century in.
I agree. The century does not tie it to Fox.
No.
I think they would have been fine.
No, it's fine. Anyway, This Is Our Year revolves around the chaotic lives of an unpredictable single mum and her unflappable teenage daughter as they try again to make it their year. A story of resilience, hope, and a lot of ex-husbands. I assume it's the mother who's got the ex-husbands, not the teenage daughter.
Kind of hope so. Otherwise, we have some really strong parenting questions that need to be raised.
Yes. That sounds like a comedy ad. Nothing to add.
It does.
We can move on. If Earth and CBS have just disappointed that they didn't hit any of the cliches.
The only thing I can say is obviously they don't put that in the perspective of the real world, but I guarantee over the next couple of years when things clear up, there will be a lot of people going, "No, this will is my year. I'm going to make up for the last couple." So that might ring true for some people. Maybe that'll kind of hit a bit of a zeitgeist because of that.
Next up, ABC's put in development Nates. That's the name Nate, but like possessive. Nates, a half-hour multi-camera comedy about a beloved Washington D.C. bar. Hence, Nate's the bar.
I was going to ask, is it possessive or is it plural? But okay.
Possessive. So, coming from writer Akila Green and 20th Television. They're getting around to networks.
For a while, isn't it?
They're getting around to networks now. Jeez, that's 2 in a row. Written by Green, the comedy revolves around Nate's, a black-owned Washington, D.C. dive bar that has been serving drinks for the last 10 presidential administrations. It's an interesting way to measure time, but I get what they're going for. This beloved cultural institution serves as a sanctuary for the congressional staffers, metro workers, beltway societies, and other regulars who frequent it. I think
makes sense as to why they measure it in presidential elections as well, beyond the current climate. But okay, that's the clientele. Yeah,
but I get what they're doing there by using that. If anything, describing time in that way is the most I get out of this in terms of what the personality and what the topics that the show is going to tackle is. Like, I get something from that. So it's actually quite smartly written. So good on ABC for a decent plot description of your comedy.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a bar comedy, which I'm sure we've seen plenty of over the years.
Mm-hmm. But perhaps be more topical.
Yeah, exactly. With a seemingly political focus, which and there have been some great political shows. West Wing obviously springs to mind. It's pretty topical right now. But this is a comedy angle on it, which and a little bit different to maybe something like Veep, which is kind of more in government directly. So yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, Showtime has given a 10-episode order, straight to series order, in fact, to a half-hour comedy called Flatbush Misdemeanors. Created, written, and starring Kevin Izo and Dan Perlman. It's based on their award-winning 2017 digital series of the same name. So it's like a digital show they did on the internet that has now been adapted into an actual sitcom. Flatbush Misdemeanors is a raw, grounded comedy of city life, follows Dan and Kevin, who play characters struggling to thrive in their new surroundings in the brash environment of Flatbush, Brooklyn. The show explores 2 longtime friends seeking to climb out of their heads and connect with others. So, not a lot there to go on in terms of the actual premise, other than there's just 2 kooky characters in this weird named town.
Yeah, I mean, pretty vague, but could be alright.
I'll say town, it's more of a district, but you know what I mean.
I did, I wasn't going to correct you. I was going to let it slide.
And then next up, Netflix have ordered a Godzilla anime. So
before you say anything else, this story started where you said Netflix, and I kind of, for a second, perked up, almost out of habit, and then went, do you know what? I'm not as excited for every Netflix show anymore. Like, in the space of like 2 seconds in my brain, I kind of went through this whole roller coaster of, oh, Netflix, that used to be a thing that got me interested. And then realised it doesn't anymore. And that's not to say Netflix shows are bad or anything like that, but more, the batting average is a little bit lower than what it used to be. They're putting out so much stuff, and maybe it's not even that it's necessarily lower, but there's a much wider variety of content that's not all for me. And I kind of dipped again, and then you said Godzilla anime, and I got right back in.
Yeah, it's going to premiere in 2021. They announced it. It's called Godzilla Singular Point, which is a weird title.
Very anime name.
Is it? I'll take your word for it. The new anime hails from My Hero Academia Studio Bones and Black Bullet's Orange. I know all those words, but that didn't make any sense to me.
My Hero Academia is a very popular anime, kind of magic set in a school, I believe. Kind of,
yes.
Anime Hogwarts, basically. And it's very popular from what I hear.
Yes, Godzilla Singular Point will be an addition to the Godzilla universe. It will be a separate project unrelated to the animated films that they did before, which we did watch and review, actually, the trilogy. So, yeah, there's not really much to go on in terms of, like, what's the premise of this show?
I mean, it's Godzilla.
Beyond that. I mean, you say that, but that animated trilogy they did was, like, really specific. It was in the future, and it was coming back to a world that had, like, been post-apocalyptic with monsters and shit.
No, it's true. And this is... I mean, I'm assuming that the fact they didn't mention that means it's probably not set wildly in the future. But, I mean, this is anime, so who knows? Yeah,
it's anime. It could be anything. Any old shite could work in there. All right, so before we move on to the dramas, I will take this time to thank our patron producers for the month. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Bornow, Al Tribesman, Christopher Moy, Brett Williams, and David Brown. Thank you to all you guys. That is our $20 and above patrons over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. But you can, of course, support us over there for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your trouble. There's a $5 tier and so on and so on. So go and have a look and see if you want to help keep all the content coming. And if you can't do that, don't feel too bad. There's lots of free ways to support us too, such as hitting the like button, subscribing, commenting on videos, sharing us on Twitter, all that stuff. So any and all of that. The like button being the easiest one. It's the one. It's a simple one. You can just hit the button. It's just a button. You hit it and it helps, and you can feel good about your day for just clicking on a thing. It's all good. So there you go. End of Patreon and other associated things plugging.
All I will say is, if you like watching me suffer in pain with hiccups. I'm sure some of you do, and if you do, just hit the thumbs up.
Speaking of suffering, the first drama show here is that Amazon, as much as I was complimenting them from their weekly release of some of their new shows, especially the ones that I care about, they have given a series Greenlit to a young adult horror series based on I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Isn't this your favourite thing in the world, Pete?
Why, are you hinting that because the star of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer is in it, that I would be a big fan? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
No. I mean, honestly, they're not. There's kind of a weird, nostalgia to these bad slasher movies from the mid to late 90s. When me and Tim reviewed them, we tore them both to shreds, it and its sequel. But there was kind of there's a bit of nostalgia because we watched this when we were young. Was
almost throwback to the golden age of slashers at the time.
Yeah, it was this weird kind of okay, this is really bad, but I'm kind of having fun, making fun of it and stuff. I cannot imagine a new version of this with a modern lens being remotely good, especially when they're officially calling it young adult. That's when there's
that's the death knell right there.
Yeah, there's some red flags going off in my head. To be fair, the movie was based on a book, and this is equally, I assume, based directly on the book rather than. So
it's an adaptation of the book rather than the movie. We assume.
Yeah, the book was written by Sarah Goodman, came out in 1973. Of course, I don't imagine the book when it came out was thought of as a slasher story because the term slasher for what we think of it as didn't exist yet.
I mean, I wonder how much those movies kind of changed to fit the slasher mold, right? As a to be a slasher movie, and whether this would maybe be a more faithful adaptation in some ways.
I doubt it.
I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Yes,
not that I'm interested. I'm just saying.
In a town full of secrets, a group of teenagers are stalked by a mysterious killer a year after a fatal accident on their graduation night. I guess that sums it up.
That still sounds pretty slashery when you say it like that.
How about we just talk about Jennifer Love Hewitt running out into the street in the pouring rain going, "What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I'm right here."
It's a defining moment of a career.
Yes. The whole thing revolves around that moment, quite frankly. So hey, I mean, I have nothing to add except
presumably coming 1 October in the next couple of years.
I expect it to be bad. We will review the first episode for shits and giggles. I will say that, but that's about it.
I commit to no such thing, although I will probably be twisted into it regardless.
Yes. I mean, unless Tim volunteers, but
he might.
I don't know. I to tell you, Tim's going to be a father. He's going to be too busy to volunteer for extra things.
He's going to be like, look, I need to start figuring out what the kid can watch in a couple of years' time. And maybe this young adult series will be exactly what he needs to put in the bookmarks.
You think he's going to vet the I Know What You Did Last Summer Amazon young adult series? Yes, very good. Moving on. Epix has given a 6-episode series order to Bridge and Tunnel, a half-hour dramedy written, directed and produced by Edward Burns, and it's coming on January 24th.
I find it interesting that you didn't put this in the premiere date section. You clearly didn't read this article.
I didn't know.
2, interesting that you didn't put it in the comedy section, given that it's a half-hour dramedy.
It's a dramedy.
Half-hour dramedy. Yeah. That leans towards the comedy section.
I had a lot of tabs, and I just ordered them in the order that I think they should be in, and sometimes things slip through the cracks because I don't necessarily remember all the tabs that are there. And
that's fine, as long as you accept that failing and don't try and pretend this was intentional.
But it does say given a series order, so the fact that there's a premiere date is just
okay, that's bizarre. I'll give you that one.
It says Epix has given a 6-episode series order to, and then in the same sentence basically at the end says it's coming January 24th, which is like, so they've already shot it then, is what you say. Or
yeah, they haven't given a 6-episode order to. They're announcing a show.
Anyway, here's what it is. Set in 1980, Bridge and Tunnel revolves around a group of recent college grads setting out to pursue their dreams in Manhattan while still clinging to the familiarity. I can't say that word. Familiarity. I can't do it. I can't. There's too many L's and R's in that word. I just cannot do it.
Break it down. Famil, and then E, and then arity.
Rarity. There
you go.
Familiarity. So is that comfortable?
Better though.
Working class, Long Island hometown, blah blah. Yeah, it's group of friends in the city.
So is that the whole description? Nothing interesting.
No, nothing interesting. What do you want from me? Moving on.
What a waste of a news article.
Netflix has given a series order to First Kill, a young adult vampire series. So we're
back to vampires.
Based on a short story by New York Times bestselling author Victoria V.E. Schwab. What name? Schwab. Very Schwab. Like Schwab, but Schwab.
I feel like you really wanted to slip into a Sean Connery impression that.
Yeah, just like Sean Connery would say, you have to schwab your ears. Like, you know.
He would say that.
Yeah. It's been a Schwab. With American Horror Story and Scream Queen star Emma Roberts. So she's producing, but notably is not starring, at least not yet. I mean, maybe she'll be hired as starring. I know.
I got a little bit less interested then. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, for a second, you're like, oh, maybe I'll be interested because Emma Roberts is going to be in it, and she's delightful. But no. 8-episode, 1-hour series, created and written, executive produced by Schwab. Felicia Day Henderson is also there and serving as showrunner. So, Schwab's short story was published in imprints Vampires Never Get Old, Tales from the Fresh Bite by Natalie C. Parker and Zoraida Cordova, a collection of short stories about vampires that was released in September. I only read that sentence, I'm going to be honest, so I could say Schwab again. It's a great name. She should be very proud. So, yes, in First Kill, so that's the name of the story. I've forgotten. I was saying Schwab so much that I forgot.
What's First Kill?
They should just call it Schwab. Every show she ever is involved in should be just named Schwab.
It's very egotistical, though, isn't it?
In First Kill, when it's time for 4 teenage vampire... Wait, what?
4 teenaged vampires.
I read that as 4 teenage vampires. In First Kill, when it's time for teenage vampire Juliet to make her first kill so she can take her place among the powerful vampire family, she sets her sights on new girl in town, Calliope.
That is definitely not how you say that. Is there an I in there?
Yeah, Calliope.
Calliope.
Calliope? What's that weird,
it's
stupid
Greek.
name?
It's an ancient Greek name.
Greek names are so stupid.
Yeah.
There's a reason why that culture died out, okay? There's a reason why it's gone.
I mean, barring the fact that it kind of didn't, and it's the basis of every Western society, yeah, sure.
That's
language may have
died out. So what? So Roman civilization gave us a lot too. That also died out.
Culture didn't, though. Civilization, yes. The culture did not. There's a big difference.
It's talking about culture. I'm talking about civilization. They're dead because
you started this with the Greek culture.
I misspoke. The point is that's a stupid name, and they're a stupid culture. And
no, I'll give you it's a stupid language, like a lot of languages.
Look, there's a reason why they're all dead. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, time.
There's a reason why they're still not the same bullshit, okay? They all fall. All these civilizations, they always fall eventually. Okay, so, but to Juliet's surprise, Calliope is a vampire hunter from a family of celebrated slayers. Both
you wankers.
both find the other won't be so easy to kill, and unfortunately, way too easy to fall for. Oh, they fall for each other. The vampire and the vampire slayer fall for each other.
This could not be more young adult if it tried. I don't know if it used the word young adult in this particular one.
It did. It said
it did. Okay.
Very first sentence before we got into the Schwab.
I'll be honest, I'd forgotten. That was so long ago, I forgot.
I actually forgot this was a Schwab one.
Was this still the Schwab one?
I've been so enthralled with the Greek stuff that this is the Schwab. This is first kill, it's young adult, it's Schwab, and it's Greek society.
Remember half hour ago when you told me off for stupid tangents?
This is not stupid tangent. This is quality entertainment in the middle of a news story. This is relevant to what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Look, when you do it,
sounds miserable.
When you do it, all I feel is time slow down because it's delaying when I get to eat and do other things that I need to do tonight. When I do it, it's important, it's relevant, and you'll shut your mouth and let me speak. Now,
I'll educate you on Greek history if I have to.
Ancient history. See, that word ancient is really important. They're not even just like a little out of date. They're ancient. They're freaking ancient.
Yet somehow still relevant. Do you know what? I'm quite annoyed you didn't include the trailer at the start of this. And I know you saw this at some point in the last 2 weeks. I tweeted about it. For the new Netflix anime that's based on Greek mythology, which looks goddamn fantastic. It's out in the next couple of months, I'm pretty sure. Maybe November or December.
Okay, so...
And we should definitely watch the first episode of that.
So an anime about a bunch of has-beens, yeah. Top of my list of priorities, right?
I did laugh, I'll be honest. I'm not gonna talk about it properly, but there's a bit in there where they go, "You're the son of Zeus," and it's like, and they say it like he's special. It's like, yeah, so's like half the freaking world.
Yeah. I mean, look, first kill. I mean, I've already made a Buffy reference with the anime we did last summer because it was hand to me in a plate.
But so was the word Slayer, to be fair.
And the Slayer is also anime plate, and I'm not gonna lie, the buffet is not done.
Oh God! Who else is showing up in this?
The buffet. We may as well call it Buffet the Vampire Slayer because there's more to feast on later.
That was a stretch, and it was bloody terrible, and you should apologise for that atrocity of a wordplay.
HBO are developing a show, an adaptation, if you will. Snowfall writer Aziza Barnes and Insecure's Natasha Rothwell are developing an adaptation of E.B. is a Boy's novel Pride for HBO. Now, those are a bunch of fine names, but none of them are Schwab, so I'm immediately less interested.
I mean, I'm not sure I can argue with that. And I have no idea what this actually is. I've never heard of this.
For the record, we're going to review the first episode of First Kill just because Schwab. It's a Schwab property, and therefore we have to review
siren.
This is my siren. This is our siren. Don't.
You're the one who cares about Schwab way more than I do. Clearly, this is your siren, and I'll be there with you. You came on the siren review with me, and so I'll be there. Don't worry, I got your back.
Given what our siren review was, I don't know if that's a genuine thing.
Our siren review was a perfectly legitimate, proper, full review of a fantastic first episode.
Our fake siren review, which was us just joking and pretending to review it and then talking about other things, got to the point where it was over 1,000 views that I actually had to make it private just so people wouldn't find it and get mad at us for thinking.
What did you do that for?
For thinking, because if this is the first thing they find it, and they might be a legitimate potential new viewer, a new fan.
Just put a little annotation up on the screen going, "This is a bloody joke."
Annotations,
not like the rest of our content.
YouTube deleted annotations like 3 years ago. You're so out of date. You're as ancient as the goddamn Greeks.
There's got to be some system on YouTube that lets you do a little pop-up like that. Still.
There's cards,
Probably.
which are for links.
Cards, alright. There you go, do one of those.
And link it to what?
Link it to a page that just says, "This is a joke."
I'm not making a page. Just
There'll be a gif of that. Look, think of all the poor people who have somehow stumbled into this TV news and stuck with us this long. And they're relatively new to our content, and they're like, "They did a joke siren review? Where can I see this?" And you have deprived them of this top quality content.
Look, it's unlisted, right? I can still link it to people. I'll put the link in the description for this. So if you're interested on the fake siren review we posted in Christmas Day like 2 years ago, it'll be in the description. You can click on it and go watch it to your heart's content. The point is that no one can just stumble onto it thinking it's genuine at this point, because it was starting to actually accelerate in views, and I felt like it was a bad thing to accelerate in.
See, that you should lean into the shit posting. Lean into it.
Oh my god. Look, just leave it, okay? Leave it. I need to tell you what Pride is.
Oh yeah, we still haven't done that yet.
Pride is an update to Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, okay.
No, hold on, there's supernatural elements here.
Oh, okay.
A Haitian Dominican coming-of-age story that explores love, teenage angst, and gentrification through magical realism.
Did you say yov instead of love?
I didn't mean to, but maybe I did. I don't know. How to put it? Love.
I mean, it sounds like it's got more to say than Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, at least.
Sure, yeah.
Which was not as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Barnes, who also wrote Netflix's Teenage Bounty Hunters, which I never watched, but I thought the trailer was silly amusing, to be honest.
Did we miss that? Because we both thought that trailer was all right, and then I assumed it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, we just kind of like didn't notice it came out, and then weeks had passed. It was like, oh shit, that came out weeks ago. Well,
I still didn't notice it had come out until you've just said that now.
So yes, the book that's a big description. The book follows Zuri Benitez, who has pride, Brooklyn pride, family pride, and pride in her Afro-Latino roots. But pride might not be enough to save her rapidly gentrifying neighborhood from becoming unrecognizable. When the wealthy Darcy family moves in across the street, Zuri wants nothing to do with their 2 teenage sons, even as her older sister, Janae, starts to fall for the charming Ainsley. She especially can't stand the judgmental and arrogant Darius, which means they're going to fall in love with, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yet Zuri and Darius are forced to find common ground. Their initial dislike shifts to an unexpected understanding. Okay, so it's actually...
It's like you're not familiar with Pride and Prejudice at all.
I did see the zombie movie, but I've happily forgot it because it was boring.
It was. It should have been more fun. Do you know what? At the end of this story, I'm going to interject with a related tangent that is a news story that you didn't include. But carry on.
But with the 4 wild sisters pulling her in different directions, cute boy Warren vying for her attention, and college applications hovering in the horizon, Zuri fights to find her place, in Bushwick's changing landscape, or lose it all.
It sounded more generic as it went on.
I mean, it says magical realism. It sounds more like it's going to be a stylistic choice rather than anything in the plot. Which, yeah, I'm good. Even adding zombies to this stupid story didn't get me interested, so...
It's true. I'm good. Yeah. And the pseudo-related news story that I did see is it's an update to a story we talked about, I don't know, a couple of news episodes ago. We talked about Keira Knightley starring in a new period piece TV show called The Essex Serpent. And she's no longer starring in it. Basically, it is on indefinite hiatus.
Because someone told her that it was a period piece, and she realised that she kept starring in things that were, dare I say, ancient, and she thought, you know what, no, I have to get with the times. Only chumps obsessed with the ancients.
maybe that's a personal, private reason that she has, but
Yes.
the public reason that she decided to give is basically where they wanted to shoot. They did not have adequate childcare facilities for the current situation in the world with everything going on, and she didn't want to be away from her kid for like 9 months. And just decided, you know what, it's not worth the hassle, and pulled out quite weeks before they were supposed to start production, by the sounds of it. And the crew were all kind of thrown into disarray, and the show is on indefinite hiatus until they either find a replacement or reschedule down the line.
Interestingly, Chris Pratt pulled out something this week for the same reason. Although it wasn't for his kid, it was for himself. He just likes to be in childcare when he's not acting.
I mean, look, I have enjoyed many a role that he has played, but he is a bit of a selfish prick, let's be honest.
I mean, my joke wasn't that he was self. My joke was that he was like a big kid, because I was thinking Andy Dwyer from.
No, that's true. But the more I see of him, the less I like him. Whereas Kieran Knightley,
sure.
I mean, I haven't seen enough to really have a strong opinion one way or the other. But I believe that it's a child care issue.
I wasn't accusing her of it. I was just cracking a joke. I mean, yeah, Chris Pratt's in real world is a bit of a douchebag, but compared to Keira Knightley, though, he's in a bunch of things I like.
No, that's true. You like him on screen more,
yes.
But he's probably a worse person.
I like Parks and Rec. I like Guardians of the Galaxy. He's been in things. Jurassic World, it's fun. It's not perfect, but it's
but he's fine in it. He's pretty solid doing that role.
And would you believe it? The parks keep breaking down and causing chaos because dinosaurs are ancient, and you shouldn't bring the ancient things back from the dead. It just causes chaos. There we go. Proof.
I can't wait till someone revives Apollo or some stupid thing from cricket. That'll be the next big thing. Is they revive actual ancient Greek history, and it's all real and it's all in present day. I mean, that's just Percy Jackson I'm describing. What the hell? Yes. Never mind. It's happening already. It's coming on Disney Plus at some point, and we'll review that.
What Percy Jackson is?
Yeah, they're doing a TV show. We talked about this a while ago.
I forgot about it.
Me and Matt were like so excited about this for like a week.
Nah, the only thing Percy Jackson is to me is that I had to see the trailer so many times when the first one was coming out. In hindsight, maybe if I'd see, maybe if it came out as a teenager, maybe teenage Alexander Daddario at the time would have been fetching if I'd been the right age.
Quite possibly, but I will say it's also, even from someone, I'm a big Percy Jackson fan. It's a terrible movie.
What age was I when that came out?
I don't know. That was like 2000. Somewhere between 2005 and 2009, that kind of range.
I mean, I was still a teenager, actually, but I think in actual reality, I think I'm the same age as her, but she was obviously playing a younger character. I think that's the weird part of it.
Probably, yeah. I'm sure she was fine in that movie. She's a talented actress, but it was a terrible movie, and I have no desire to ever revisit ever again. But I'm excited for the TV show. Should it be better? Susan
Sarandon is going to headline something on HBO Max here. So young adult. What's with all these young adult things?
Something on HBO Max. Oh, that's great. And just this.
I was thinking of Alexander Daddario. My head couldn't quite. I had to recalibrate for a minute.
What? I'm gonna let you off because I understand.
Right.
And I'm sure most of our audience do too.
Yes. So anyway, HBO Max assembling a cast for a young adult drama called Redbird Lane, which I think we've talked about before. I actually put this in here because the same producer has got another HBO Max show which is coming up next, so I just kind of bundled them together.
Is it just casting news here? That's the thing.
Yeah, this is just casting news for this one in particular.
Okay.
So you got Susan Sarandon, Kirstie Clemens, who's someday maybe going to be Iris in the Flash movie. if
I've liked her in things that I don't remember what I've seen her in now. I've definitely seen her in stuff.
Oh, she was in that movie with the three teenagers and I can picture
it. It's a solid movie as well.
Oh god, it
has a director that I like as well, if I remember.
God damn, I've forgotten the name of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Kirstie Clemens is there, and a bunch of other people. Fiona Dourif's in there actually, who I kind of like. She's Brad Dourif's kid. She's in the Chucky movies recently.
Okay,
in fact,
that's fine.
She had a role in Utopia that I'm currently reviewing. So
Did I see her in that? Was she in the first episode?
I think she may have like briefly appeared in the first episode, but she most of her focus doesn't come till episode like 3 or 4. So
Okay, cool.
So Redbird Lane, written by Sarah Grand, directed by David Slade. That's a name I recognise, actually. Is a psychological thriller that follows 8 strangers who arrive at an isolated house, all for different reasons. Upon their mysterious coincidental arrival, the strangers realise that something sinister and terrifying awaits them. Honestly, if you didn't say this was young adult, I might have been intrigued by this.
I agree. As a TV description, it's not like amazing. Even taking away the young adult thing, I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to see this. But I'd be like, I mean, there's potential here. The YA label on it slaps away all of that enthusiasm that I might have had.
Yeah. So there's a couple of recognisable names. Obviously, Susan Sarandon's the star. She's the one that they're going to put the head marketing on. So next up, John Wells has got 2 more shows at HBO Max. That's who was behind the other show there. So yeah, he's got a lifeguard drama coming from Animal Kingdom writer Matt Kester, and then a series inspired by the book Things That Make White People Uncomfortable. So the lifeguard one, Key New Road. I might be butchering the pronunciation of that a little bit.
The most important thing before we get through this story is, does this have Alexandra Daddario in it?
All right, calm down. All right. Key New Road is a contemporary drama set on the north shore of Oahu. Oahu? O-A-H-U. How do you say that?
Ahu?
Yeah, okay.
Oahu, maybe? I don't know.
Focusing on the relationships between an elite crew of heavy water lifeguards and the teens and young adults they mentor and train in the junior lifeguard program. The junior guards program embodies the beauty, the danger, the struggle, and the spirit of aloha, all centered on the ocean that is modern Hawaii. So, I mean, I knew it was Hawaii because the title was clearly one of those words. Even the Key New Road is spelled as K-E-N-U-I is 2 separate words. Is the thing.
Okay, yeah. So you got the impression of that already.
Yeah. The 2 places already sounded Hawaiian, and then at the end it confirms it. But so interesting. So I think that bit on HBO Max makes it sound a bit more interesting than if it was just on a network show, because it's like, okay, so what are HBO Max, this more premium like streaming service, going to do with this?
Yeah, the description didn't fill me with a lot of faith, interest, whatever you want to choose as your descriptive word there. When they talk about the beauty and the drama or whatever their 4 words that they used were. Is
this going to be more serialized? Is it going to be more of like a police academy tone of like them training to be lifeguards, or is it going to be a bit more like the beauty of the waves, man, and like all the sunsets as they're riding the waves, like like where are they going with it? Or is it going to be like Baywatch, where they somehow end up investigating a lot of crimes, even though they're lifeguards? Like, what?
If this was a network show, I would have put money on that being the case.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But hey. So, that is that. And then next up, the important question, though, is who's Emma Stone going to play in it? That's the real question. So, next up, Things That Make White People Uncomfortable is inspired by Michael Bennett and Dave Zarin's book of the same name. It's a 1-hour anthology series that has one goal: to make white people uncomfortable. it's almost a challenge.
We're the perfect target audience to test it out then.
The theme of the first season is the danger of white liberal thought. Each episode will take a hard look at how white liberal thought has impacted American society and contributed to the state of race relations in America today. We might be a little un-American for this, though, admittedly.
It's possible. It does sound actually quite interesting.
It does.
And also, I'm not sure it's like, it's not what I go to TV shows for. I typically go to most TV shows to be entertained. As a rule, there are lots of high-quality TV shows that are a bit too real-world, documentary-focused, even if they're not documentaries per se, that kind of just don't interest me on a myriad of topics. And this might fall into that, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's... I'm curious. I can see the anthology thing. I can see it being... like, try to tackle this theme with different stories. It doesn't even mention how many episodes it would be in a season, but like, let's say it's 6 episodes where each story tries to like make a sort of point based on that theme throughout. I could see that working be interesting. And the title, we kind of joked about it because it's always fun to joke when you get a title like this, but it is very provocative. It's kind of like Dear White People, right? It's like people see it and immediately, like I can already tell you right now that there's going to be a bunch of assholes who are going to review bomb this on IMDb because of its title. I mean,
every time we spoke about Dear White People, whether it was in the news or when we reviewed the first episode, we got tons and tons of dislikes, comments, just talking about, it's this.
Yeah.
Consistently by just terrible, awful people.
Yeah, it's demanding that we call it out for the propaganda that it is, which...
it was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's actually a really good show. It's absurd. And if you think your entertainment, your art is not political, it always has been. You've just not been paying attention. I read a great Twitter thread. This was a couple of months ago, but a great Twitter thread pointing out something in Terminator 2 that I'd never considered. And it was like this little spin on it. It was talking about how John Connor in that movie's running around in a Public Enemy t-shirt being chased by a white cop. And it's not overt because obviously John Connor's white, but there's clearly something being said there. With it's intentional.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
The visuals are very intentional because Public Enemy. I mean, again, it's part of a I don't really know who Public Enemy are, but they were a very outspoken musician group at the time, I assume.
Yeah. No, I get you wrong, and it's bizarre. There are people who, Star Trek Discovery recently announced for the new season there is there's a trans character, a non-binary character, I believe, in season 3.
Okay.
At some point, and when the news came out, people were like, oh, what I say people, a certain subsect of awful people were like, oh, what get this diversity quota out of my my TV show. I'm like, how? And these are people who are generally the hardcore Trek fans, and I'm like, how have you watched Trek your entire life and loved every single Trek show and movie and have this opinion? It makes no sense.
Yes, Trek's all about trying to be progressive and trying to be understanding.
Like we can look back at the original series now and go, well, it's a bit dated, but at the time it was pushing boundaries, and that's what matters, right? And this is the same where, I mean, I'm not saying that's really pushing boundaries, really. It's just doing its bit, really. But it's making an effort, which I think we can all appreciate, unless you're terrible. and how you can be a Trek fan and not have got this message is just beyond me, really is.
Yeah, it's the same thing with comic books and X-Men. Like, do people not get what X-Men are supposed to represent? Like the whole point of
X-Men, their entire history.
When they were created in the 60s, they were a parable for something else. They always have been. So like, I think people being awful. Anyway, so it's always great to see more things like this. Some appeal to me, some don't. But it is great to see more stories from these other perspectives actually tackling the subject.
Even if it's not necessarily something I'm interested in, something that I'm going to enjoy or want to watch, I'm glad it exists when it's things like this, because there's probably someone who can learn a lesson from it. Yeah.
Sadly, though, the people who really need to learn the lessons are probably going to avoid it like the plague and talk about how it's propaganda without ever watching it once.
But I do believe there is a section of people who are maybe not overtly racist in this particular context, talking about race, maybe who don't even realize they are, and that this might kind of help them understand. And if
sure, I mean, this is particularly
a couple of those people. That's great.
Yeah, that's just talking about white liberal thought, and it's something that I remember Get Out surprised me with, was kind of pointing out some of this this idea of
things that we just don't even consider because we don't realize we need to consider it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's will help point those things out to people for sure. But that's the specific example. I was just talking in general about anything. Dear white people, whatever. Anything that dares to be bold or provocative with this title
is the word.
Yeah. So yeah, that's things that make white people uncomfortable. I often find that if you stick your finger up your bum in the bus, that makes all the white people uncomfortable. But that's just my experience.
I think that makes most people uncomfortable.
Yes. Hey, I didn't say it didn't make other people uncomfortable. I wasn't claiming that all the non-white people on the bus were like, oh, I'm fine with that. You keep going with the finger in the bus.
I think I'd be more concerned with them if they were fine with that. There's a time and a place, people.
So when do you think the good time is to put your finger up your bum?
I mean, ideally at home. If you're going to do that, do it at home.
What's the point without an audience?
Look, if you're going to do it with an audience, at least make it a willing audience. That's fine.
All right. So, I actually just got a message from Tara. Because I said, I'm doing the TV news, right? And then she messaged back saying, yes, Janeway's coming back to Trek. It's a lot of news to talk about. And I didn't even have that in the news. So I
believe that was in spoilers here, I guess, for the last episode of Lower Decks. I think she showed up in that episode.
Well, I don't know that. You didn't have to spoil it. If that is a real spoiler, you didn't have to spoil that, because the actual news is that she's going to be on the Nickelodeon animated show. So if she did show up in
it's that then.
Yeah, if she did show up as a surprise in the last episode of Lower Decks, you just spoiled it for no reason.
I said spoilers first, so people could have skipped.
Like a second before you said what it was.
There was a long where I thought about what I was going to say. And I'm not even 100% sure that's correct. I've just seen people making insinuations as to that. So possible spoilers for Lower Decks, I guess.
Yeah, but if it's true, you did just spoil it for people, because now they're thinking about it before they watch it.
I said spoilers first.
Okay. Just in the comments, if you want to yell at Connor, you may. Okay?
Do you really need to give them specific permission for that?
No, but I encourage it even.
Don't you always?
Okay, next up. Little Island Productions has acquired the TV rights. This is a UK company, for the record, which is why we've probably never heard of it. Has acquired the TV rights to T.C. Farron's well-received sci-fi thriller novel, The Book of Malachi. It could be Malachi, but I'm going with the hard ch.
How are you spelling it?
Malachi.
It's just Malachi. I know that because that is my grandfather's name.
Oh, well, I said the hard ch.
Yeah, but it's just Malachi. Is how
Malachi.
You say it.
Okay, I said Malachi, so I may be emphasising the wrong syllable, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, you're pretty close. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's the Scottish in me. Going with the hard ch.
Yeah.
So the story follows Malachi, a mute 30-year-old man who receives follows Malachi. I'll be honest, it sounds more natural to do it my way, but it's fine. Whatever. Your grandfather's wrong. Okay.
I'm sorry that clearly the Irish way of saying this is superior to the Scottish way, and you're just wrong, and you're just hardwired the wrong way.
I don't know if it is the Scottish way. Other Scottish people may agree with you.
It's an Irish name, which is why I say the Irish way, and yes. And I get where you're coming from.
Yes, but you did say grandfather, which implies old, which means ancient, and therefore wrong. So
I mean, it's my brother's middle name, if that counts. So it's more recent. I mean, named after my grandfather, admittedly, but still.
Well, then he's young and stupid and of the Zoomer generation, and therefore should not be.
Wait. When did the Zoomer generation start?
Oh, I don't know. I think
because he might be right on the cutoff.
Maybe right in the cutoff. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the story follows Malachi, a mute 30-year-old man who receives an extraordinary job offer in exchange for 6 months as a warden on a top secret organ farming project. Razor Pharmaceuticals will gift him a new tongue. Oh, okay, all right, I get it.
That's actually quite interesting.
Malachi finds himself on an oil rig among warlords and mass murderers, but the book ponders whether the prisoner donors deserve their fate. Okay, so there's like I'm
actually kind of interested in this.
A moral thing. A moral quandary.
There's the personal gain for him. Does that outweigh the social responsibility that he feels? There's interesting things to this.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. Well, I mean, obviously, when I see sci-fi in the title of the story, I'm like, okay, this is one that we're probably going to care about more. You
don't even read any further. You just go, right, slap it in a tab.
Yes. So, there you go. The Book of Malachi. Do you know what? I feel like saying it your way. I keep wanting to say the Book of Malarkey.
I get it. You'll get used to it. You'll get used to it as you hear it. It was a...
Oh, sure.
Do you know, like, just on words like that, words that, there are words to you that you'll just understand how to say because they're part of your vocabulary and have been for years. You'll have never, but some people will never have heard and they'll say it wrong and you'll think it's just weird that they're saying it wrong. The new Assassin's Creed game is set in England, Old England, and there's an area of Old England called Mercia, and it's where I grew up. To the point where our local radio station was called Mercia, but all of the Americans who have never heard this word, who have got all the previews, have obviously never heard the word before, and read it and say Mercia, and every time I hear it, I'm just like, oh, that sounds wrong. It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, I saw that tweet earlier. That's how I said it in my head.
No, I get it, and it's like I don't even I don't begrudge anyone who said it wrong, or, because I understand if you've never heard a word before, how can you possibly know, right? You follow established conventions from other words, but just because it's a word I've known my entire life, it stood out to me as people don't know this word, and it was almost the same then with Maliki, where I'm just like, yeah, I know that word. I've always known it. It was weird hearing it said wrong.
Well, moving on, Gabrielle Union and her I'll Have Another Productions.
She's got to do something now that the LA's Finest is finished.
I'm surprised you remember she was in that, quite frankly.
To be honest, so am I.
It's picked up the rights to The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls, a debut novel from the broadcast journalist Anissa Gray. It's going to be developed into a series under the I'll Have Another's first look production deal with Sony Pictures Television. Or Sony, as people keep telling me that I should pronounce it.
Wait. Say it the other way first.
Sony.
Oh, okay. I can hear the difference, but I don't really question the way you say it.
I've always just said Sony. To be honest, I think everyone I know, in person, has always said Sony as well. I think Sony is such an American thing to me.
I think I do say Sony, but
it doesn't sound wrong when other people say it, but I always said Sony.
It's the same between like Nike and Nike. Like, I'm so used to hearing both that even the wrong one doesn't sound wrong.
I mean, I think Nike's correct, but I have never heard a British person say Nike. It's always Nike.
In the UK, it is just Nike, even though we all know, really, that that's wrong. And we know that Nike is the correct way.
Also,
we say Nike anyway.
Don't some Americans say Adidas for Adidas?
A lot of British people say Adidas as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, most people I know say Adidas.
Well, they're not wrong.
Are you sure?
And while we're on it, it's Primark, not Primark.
Oh, no. No, it is not.
And it's Geff, not Jeff.
I'll give you that one, but it can't be Primark because it's Primani. That's the slang, and that doesn't work if it's... You can't do Primani, so it doesn't work.
Sure you can.
So of course it's Primark.
No,
because it's a play on Armani. It doesn't work. That is an incredibly British, particularly British, linguistic debate there, I guess.
Oh, well. Anyway, so this book, there's The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls. It was published in 2019 and explores sisterhood, mothers and daughters, identity within a family, and how the relationships that form who you are can also be the ones to swallow you whole. It's about three...
I just wish one of these descriptions would not have that exact line that you've just read out is so generic across all of these shows.
I know. It's about three sisters whose lives are thrown into chaos when their eldest sister and her husband are arrested for white-collar crimes in a small Michigan town. This incident will explore each sister's deep-buried childhood trauma, forcing them to confront old wounds and find a way to forge ahead together.
That is such a generic description.
Yeah, not for me, but worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So next up, Amazon is developing a show based on a sci-fi short story, written by Ken Liu and being developed by Amazon by OA writer. That's the OA, the show from Netflix.
The one we like.
Dominic Orlando, along with Orlando Bloom as executive producer. So you've got Dominic Orlando and Orlando Bloom, meaning, see when they join forces, are they just Dominic Orlando Bloom and just cut out there's no reason to say it twice. Why not? Just say it once.
Save time for everyone.
It's called The Cleaners, the short story at least. They might change the title for the show. The Cleaners tells how, in the near future, inanimate objects carry the memories of people's experiences, and a certain number of the population have the ability to relive those memories by touch. Cleaners are specialists hired to sanitize the objects and relieve emotional burdens these memories may hold. At the center of this story, a young man who inherits his family's cleaning business and takes on a mysterious new commission.
I actually quite like the setup of the world. I thought that final little bit of the mystery was a bit dull and generic, but up till that point, I was kind of into it.
I think there's always going to be a mystery in a show like this. It sounds like a show with a mystery.
There is. I think it was just the way they presented it in that description that was kind of generic, but I'm very open to this show.
Yeah. Next up, Amazon has greenlit an Italian original.
Have you watched any Italian originals?
I don't believe so. Everybody Loves Diamonds, coming from the Fremantle-owned outfit Wildside, who were the ones who worked on the new Pope with Jude Law,
which is very well regarded from the people who have watched that.
Yeah, it's a heist series with a comedic twist inspired by the 2003 Antwerp diamond heist. It will follow a team of small-time Italian thieves who manage to deceive a top-level security to steal millions of dollars worth of precious stones from the Antwerp Diamond Centre. So, sounds like a one and done. Sounds like a limited series if it's just about this one heist.
It does, until they're like, well, let's do another heist for season 2, right?
Well, yeah, you just... it's called Everybody Loves Diamonds, so you can literally just pick a different heist. So it can either be an anthology, or you just sort of contrive it so these characters end up get to go on another heist.
Either way works, right? Just, the idea... Essentially, it just becomes a heist show where, anthology each season if you wanted it to. And that's a perfectly fine idea.
That works. So, Snowpiercer producer Tomorrow Studios is going to adapt a thriller by Dean Koontz. It's called Devoted. So, here's the description here. The book, which was published by Amazon Publishing in 2020, March specifically, tells the story of Woody Bookman, a boy who hasn't spoken a word in his 11-year lifespan, and who believes a monstrous evil was behind his father's death and now threatens him and his mother.
There's potential.
Yeah,
it's not awful. I mean, it's got a bit to go yet, but it's got more than some other descriptions that we read.
Yeah. So, all right, the network stuff. I mean, we have a few network things.
Okay.
Assuming I haven't actually put it in out of order, which is possible. So Regina King is producing a show at the CW. It's called... I forgot about this. Slay.
Is this the one you were referring to earlier?
Nope.
Oh, god damn it.
Slay, as in slaying, as in what one might do with a vampire?
Look, you've already done it twice this episode. You don't need to do any more.
So it's a drama produced by Regina King for the CW, written by Julian Johnson, a former CSI. They should call it CS. That should be the porn parody. CSI.
You say it should be, as if it's already not.
I bet that's not what it's called, though. The porn parody title the game is not as good as it used to be in the old days. I feel like it's probably just going to be CSI, a porn parody. Yeah.
You say that as if the CSI hasn't been around for decades and there hasn't been a porn parody years ago.
Alright, Google it then. Google CSI and see if it comes up.
I'm good.
Alright, that's what I thought.
I don't want that in my search history, frankly.
That's what I thought.
Don't tempt me. Do not try and tempt me.
Pam Veazey is the person in question here, the showrunner, supervising this. Slay centers on Carson Jones, a bold, witty teenager with afro puffs, leather boots, 70s cool, and thanks to her mother's ancient African bloodline, supernatural gifts, and the responsibility to use them to protect Virginia's historic triangle, one of the most haunted areas in the country, from the forces of darkness. I mean, that sounds like
It sounds like a CW show.
It sounds like a CW show. It, dare I say, could even veer into Buffy-esque territory.
It actually does. I cannot believe... I know we've just entered the network section of the show, but I cannot believe how quickly we veered into just, this is a network show.
Oh, it is. Yes, it's a network show. For sure. Next up, Fox are handing a script to series commitment to the long haul. A mother-daughter trucking drama from writer Katie Lovejoy.
That's what everyone wants in their life. Good trucking drama.
The long haul is against the backdrop of the hyper-masculine world of long-haul trucking. It is about a young mother and her teenage daughter who flee their small town. The series charts the journey of these two disenfranchised women navigating life on the road and their dysfunctional relationship as they slowly, mile by mile, take their power back. Now, technically, because trucking is their new profession, and it mentioned that they're going to be, bonding and the relationship's going to be forming, there was an argument to be made that this was professional and personal lives.
Do you want me to drink? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I don't really care if
I
you do or
mean,
not,
look,
but
it's ready poured. I will.
I'm saying that technically you could argue that it's in the ballpark. That's all I'm saying.
I'm quite happy to drink this Bowmore 12. I don't need much prompting, so.
Yes, well, that was Fox, I think.
I quite like the title. Nice play on the premise for the title. The description itself just sounds generic, but
yeah,
I'll give it props where it's due.
So next up, NBC's put in development a show called Always Right, and notably, Right has a silent W at the front of it.
I was going to say, I didn't know they were making a show about me.
A drama from For Life executive producer Sonny Hoffman and Sony Pictures TV. Written by Hoffman, Always Right is set in Los Angeles. In it, a young, wealthy and jet-setting African-American couple solve mysteries, run their own successful empires, and, are completely head over heels in love with each other.
I hate this description.
I know.
Do you know what? I was like, until that point, I was like, I mean, it sounds nothing special, but it sounds fine. And then they did that, and I went, you're being that description. Yeah.
It sounds absurdly generic and networky. It sounds like an NBC show, to be fair, which it is, so fair play to it. Moving on to ABC.
Was that the end of the description?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
I thought there was another sentence still to come.
Oh, no. ABC is developing American Heritage, a drama from Matt Lopez. So they bought this preemptively with a put pilot commitment, according to Deadline. All these are from Deadline, by the way, so if you're wondering what I'm quoting here and what I'm reading from, it's always Deadline, unless there's something extra I need to add in from somewhere else. So, written by Lopez, American Heritage is an epic drama about two Latinx immigrant families vying for wealth, power, and the American dream in California's Sonoma Valley. So,
do you know what else is more interesting than that sounds, and also usually use the word epic to describe? Lots of ancient Greek mythology.
Shut up. Yeah, the problem there is that it just sounds really dull. It's just two families going for wealth, power, and the American dream. How many descriptions do we read that talk about going for the American dream?
Enough that it should probably be a drinking rule going forward, frankly.
Probably. Right, lock it in for next time. So now we have professional and personal lives. We have one character has a secret they're keeping from the other one.
A deep and dark secret. Not just a generic, a proper secret.
All right. And now a character or family trying to get some combination of the American dream and might rephrase it as wealth, fortune, and fame or something like that.
Yeah. Those generic qualifiers.
Which takes us on to our final story of the week. Finally, because I'm starving now.
I'm pretty hungry and I already ate.
Went on for forever. ABC is planning a Heartland drama with Hung co-creator Colette Burson and Empire co-creator Danny Strong, who you might remember as Jonathan in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Somehow that was like one of the weaker links this episode, even though he was in it. We talked about Sarah Michelle Gellar. We talked about Slayer, vampire shows. He is somehow one of the weaker links that you've tangented into it this time.
But he was always coming here at the end, and that's just...
I bet this is why you had this as the final tab, isn't it? Because ABC isn't like inherently the last of the networks. That honor is deserved and belongs to CBS when they have a story. Yeah,
but there wasn't a CBS story.
No, I know. But that's why you left this one last. You intentionally left this one last so you could know you could end on this rather than put it somewhere in the middle of the network section.
Point is, Danny Strong, working on another show. He's a hotshot producer in the TV business these days. So it's called The Growing Season, and it's in development from the pair of them. The show is based on Sarah Frey's recently published The Growing Season, How I Built a New Life and Saved an American Farm. It hit the shelves back in August. Frey's memoir detailed the hardscrabble shift the rule-breaking author made from rural poverty to creating a widely successful family business, and is now seen her dubbed as America's Pumpkin Queen. Pumpkin Queen, sorry if I said that properly. Pumpkin Queen.
Do you know, I'll be honest, I struggled to pay attention to too much of that description because I think I've been reading Tim's Twitter too much. Or when I say reading Tim's Twitter, I mean seeing Tim's tweets too often, and especially his Octoberthon watch list thread.
Yes.
Because when you told me the title of this, I was like, I didn't know they were making a Children of the Corn TV show.
I was distracted at one point looking at my phone there, because my phone went up because Tim tweeted Tim tweeted something from the Screams After Midnight Twitter, and then responded with his own Twitter saying agreed. He agreed with himself.
That does sound like Tim. He often agrees with himself.
So I've got to deal with that when we're done.
It's going to be a whole nightmare for you to sort out, isn't it?
It's a TV show about someone becoming a big farmer or something. I don't know.
And pumpkins are extremely seasonal though, aren't they? Like I'm not just saying Halloween obviously, but in terms of pumpkin spice things come out from September to maybe November, and that's about it. You get 3 months of the year at the tops, and then no one gives a shit about pumpkins the rest of the year.
Who cares? That is the last story. Thank you very much. You can let us know what you thought of these stories in the comments. Check out the reviews coming out TV-wise on the channel over the next week and the last week. Obviously, Star Trek Discovery's back. I'm working through Utopia. Still checking out a few episodes of Haunting of Bly Manor to see if it's worth finishing.
We just tried Hellstrom.
Yes, that started. Okay, that's enough. That's enough talking.
We've got the last episode. We've got one more. We've got the last episode of Lovecraft Country coming up, which we're actually looking forward to.
I'll try to end this quickly. So, thank you very much. We mentioned Patreon earlier. You can do all that. Let's support us by liking. All the rest of it gets on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla? And there's a reason why ancient Greeks are all dead.